Thanks. Okay, so unfortunately Roma won't participate in this meeting today, so I will be in charge. Let me share my screen and we can start. As usual, let's start with an overview of the document. Then we have the link for our done items. We have the link for dashboards. I will share the document with you after this meeting and add the recording there. And as for announcement that PMM 224 release plans are not changed, so today we're having RC ready release candidate. In 1 week, next Tuesday, we will have a preview release, and then in 2 weeks, Tuesday after the next one, we will have the public release. So, do you have any questions about the schedule for our releases? No? Then let's proceed with our usual stuff. So, what was done during last 2 weeks? That we start with bug fixes, and in 224 release, again, today RC for this release will be ready, will be included increasing memory for Postgres exporter. Just a second. Sorry. Okay. So increase in memory for Postgres exporter, then navigating through PMM settings link is fixed, and updating ClickHouse stuff. If you're interested in what's happening in there, you can visit links again in the document I would share later on. Then, as for new functionality and improvements were added. For the core team, let's start with pg.monitor stuff. Tiago, Jiří, who will be showing the stuff?
Yeah, I will start. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Sorry, Tiago. First, it will be Tiago, and then me. I will tell something about future plans.
Okay.
So in last sprint review, we've shown the features that we added to PMM from pg.monitor, new features from pg.monitor that we added to PMM. And one of those features that we discussed was command type. We can now filter PG queries by the specific command type. We also added query plans. So for a specific query, you can see a plan. And we added the top query, like in the details. You can select and see the top query if that query was called by an outer query. So this is something that we've seen in the last review call. We mentioned something that was missing, which was the histograms. And that's what I wanted to show mainly today, which is this new panel down here. So if you select the query in Query Analytics, when using pg.monitor, you will see this new panel called histogram. And basically this shows you the number of queries that were executed in this time range. From 3 milliseconds to 10 milliseconds, we have 2 executions of this query. From 10 to 31, we have 1 execution. So we know that this query was executed 3 times. And here we have the distribution in time. So that's mainly it. And this was something that was missing last review. We added it. It's the only feature left from pg.monitor, and we added it to PMM.
One quick question on that. This histogram is flipped sideways from the way I usually see histograms, where the frequency is on the vertical axis. What's the intent? Does that fit in with something else, or?
Yeah, so the main reason for that was the times here. If they are too big, they will not fit every screen, and it will get a mess to read these times if they are down here. So it was much simpler to just flip it and still have the same information, and it works on every screen.
Okay.
Anybody has any questions related to the pg.monitor support? I guess no.
Jiří, yes, still has something to say about this, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So in the future, we're planning to add dynamic ranges for histogram in PMM. means that user can define minimum, maximum time for ranges and number of ranges. Right now, default ranges are like you can see on the screen right now here. Minimum value is 0 and maximum is 10 seconds. Ranges are in milliseconds. Main problem is that if user will change his ranges, then we getting inconsistent data, because some of them will be in older ranges and some of them after this change will be in new ranges and then can overlap each others. So right now we're working on solution how to deal with this in PMM, and that's pretty much it. Any questions about this?
Yeah. I have a question for you, Jiří. So, have you considered this problem with Roma?
Yeah. We are in touch about this and trying to find some solution.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not a problem if you don't saving data, but PMM does. So there's problem.
Hopefully, Roma has an answer how to inform users about this stuff. Okay.
Yeah, but actually for user, it's not a problem. Only limitation that you cannot define custom ranges right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it working as it should.
Okay. Any other questions related to this stuff? No, then thanks, Jiří and Tiago.
Yes, sorry, I have problem that I cannot stop sharing my screen. Can you do that instead me? I'm clicking on that, but nothing happening.
I will see this for the rest of the meeting.
Does anybody has permissions? Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, let's move on. And as for the core team, we have the histograms, the dimensions. Okay, the Postgres support. Nailya?
Yeah, hello everyone. So there is no a lot of to say about it, but we checked Postgres 14. The new build from build team was ready just a couple of hours, so we checked it, and the basic functionality of PMM works great with Postgres 14. With pgstat monitor, with pgstat statements to query analytics and all dashboards.
And have we faced any interesting corner cases, maybe? Because usually new versions come with that stuff.
Yeah, there was a problem, but it was fixed in the new. So now everything looks okay.
Okay. Who's interested in more questions related to to Postgres support? Nobody. Okay. Let's move on. Yeah.
Are we including like performance testing of PG14 with PMM also, or is that to come in the future?
Well, it will be the part of release testing.
Okay, perfect.
Hopefully, we won't find any huge problems in the last days of RC testing. And then we're talking about core functionality, then alerting. We have Fabio and Max here.
Yeah.
Please show us our new achievements.
Yeah, for sure. Just a sec. Okay, so regarding these, the communication settings, sorry.
What was the problem here in communication?
So the users have no clue that they have to add the port if the port is not the default one. So 24, I believe. So yeah, we added a better description here stating that you should have your port as part of the URL. So yeah, and we also added a default host name for the server. So before it was empty, and you had to input it. So now we added just a default localhost, and you can change it if you want. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Fabio.
No, this is it from the UI. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify the original ticket. So this change was made based on feedback. I think it was actually Steve who submitted the original ticket. Like, it also contained a request for adding some test functionality so that we can allow the user to run a simple test on the SMTP server. But we decided to split the work and for the time being only provide this helper text so the user knows what was expected in terms of the connection string format. And then we created a separate ticket for the test that we can deal with that at a later point.
And Holman, would it be the part of GA? Because I know that we are targeting alerting GA. Yeah. Would it be the part of it?
Yes, it is part of that backlog still. Only that it was easier to split the task, just be able to deliver something useful and faster, and then deal with that at a later point. But yes, it is still part of that same backlog.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we still can expect the test in the nearest future, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions related to communication stuff? Maybe not only the items.
I have one question here. Does the user get any error message if they do not specify the port number, or it's just going to use the default and it's not going to work if they're not using the default one?
Well, yeah, you don't get an error because, if you don't specify, it should use the default one. But if you are not using the default one, it would be hard for you to notice. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so my question is how the user will know if this is the problem.
The error actually comes from a backend also, so we will update it on the backend too, in case you send the API request with incorrect server address.
So I think the answer, Tibi, is when the test connection piece comes out in the next iteration, then they'll know. But for the time being, if you leave it blank, it defaults to port 25. This is a question. You leave it blank, it will just default to port 25. And when you attempt to use it, you'll have to go to the error logs to see that port 25 was rejected for whatever reason.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I also have...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. I interrupted you. Well, I had a question maybe to TB. TB, if you can get this, if you can answer this question. So right now we have email and Slack. What do you think should be the third tab here? What is your preference?
So email, Slack. So this communication is coming from PMM. These are not the alerts, right? Or
these are just creating channels to be used for later action.
Oh, you mean like if I was asking the question about the channels we can use for alerts, it would probably be easier to answer, right? What would you want for alerts then, if it's not this page?
Okay, so if this is for alerts, email, Slack, okay, but as we are using PagerDuty as well, so probably some of our customers want to use that one as well.
Okay, so PagerDuty is the candidate, right? Okay.
I would not go vendor specific. I would do something generic and open like webhooks or something, and then provide a few integrations that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. For alerts, we already have PagerDuty and a webhooks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do have.
That they're so disconnected. I get the initial logic. So for email, you set up a pipe, and then later on, you actually specify who specifically will be sent to through that pipe. Whereas PagerDuty is like one and done. It is a single connection string, so you set it up in alerting specific for communication preferences. Slack almost doesn't fit here on this tab because it follows the same pattern as PagerDuty. You set it up once, and that's it. There's no more setup to do after that. You give a single URL, which only can be used for a single Slack channel. So it almost feels out of place here compared to email, which is a more generic configuration. Now,
and it requires more settings. Right?
Areas of the app want to be able to use this, but beyond simply alerting, that all for it. But for right now, they feel like they're a little bit disconnected, like it's not a consistent experience between the PagerDuty and the Slack experience.
Yeah, this is a good point. This is something we reviewed during this last sprint. Like, we didn't have the time to introduce any changes, but what we realized is that in this view that Fabio is showing right now, like the only thing you can enter in regards to Slack is the main URL. And then on the alerting settings, what you define for the Slack notifications is the specific channels that you want to target on the URL enter here. So that you define for the PMM instance a single Slack URL target. And then at the alert level, you define the specific channels.
Is that still true, though? I thought Slack changed it so that it's a single URL for a single channel. You can no longer use the same URL to go to multiple channels. I mean, we don't have to figure that out now, but that's probably something we should follow up on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But can we go back to the email tab real quick? And this is going to be more a question for the gallery. In addition to the test functionality, we don't have a TLS option here. And we ran it like you cannot use Gmail without TLS. So
yeah, that's
that also, that is part of the next iteration with the test functionality.
That's work in progress. Yes, like I know there is a ticket related.
I'll be quiet and happy.
Yeah.
So guys,
and maybe I was going to suggest that, CramMD5 is not something widely used. So maybe this one is never.
It's still valid. I know some SMTP services that use it. So plain login and cram are fine, but outside of that, that's just the username and password string, and TLS is everything. And for whatever reason, you can do them both. So encrypt the entire string with an encrypted password in the middle. We got to support them all.
Yeah.
Alex agrees. That's all we needed to hear.
What I've heard, guys, I think I will add to action items the item that representatives from different departments will gather together and discuss this stuff. Because whether Slack fits here or not, whether what we should add next, let's discuss it. Then I will ask Roma to drive this meeting. Okay. Any other questions, maybe to Fabio? Or then we can switch to another ticket.
Yeah.
The hook notification.
Yeah. So the next one is webhooks as notification.
In alerting, right?
In alerting, yeah. We had shown it already, but after QA we did some slight changes. First one. So before we only had basic and token authentication. Authorization, and now we also have no authorization at all. So because it's an option as well, if you don't want to use it. And we also hide the TLS fields within this checkbox. So you have to check it, and then you can type your keys and your certificates. So if you don't want to use TLS, you just leave it as is, and you won't see this all these fields, and you don't have to fill them. So yeah, this was the change that we did.
Mm-hmm. So guys, please take into consideration that we are preparing alerting for the GA. So if you would have any suggestions, any questions about how it works, why, so on, so please, we're open to answer them and consider changes.
First thing I wonder is, what if those fields are required?
Yeah, which ones? These ones?
All of them. Are they all required or are none required?
Actually, most of them are optional. Besides these ones, but all the other ones are pretty much optional. The same as Prometheus. It's just pretty much the API from Prometheus, so most of the fields are optional. Besides name and URL.
And we can put the asterisks next to name and URL just to make it obvious they're required.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I see no questions. So thanks, Fabio, for showing us these small improvements. Let me capture my screen again. And we're going to work in progress stuff. Some things are still just in the beginning of progress. Some things are just waiting polishing, but we can't label them as done. So let's talk first about backups. I see that user-friendly notifications if you have uncompatible util to service. So we have Max. Are you here?
Yeah.
Yep. Can you please show us what was the problem? What's done?
Yeah. So the problem was that if you're trying to make a backup or try to restore, if the service is incompatible, you are receiving internal server error without explanation what really happened. And we changed this. And right now we are handling a couple of probable error cases. For example, if you have no extra backup installed on the service, if you try to make a backup, you will receive this error that some problem occurred and extra backup is not installed. And also you'll have a link to the guide which explains how to properly install the extra backup. Also, we are handling this and showing the pop-ups that, actually the extra backup consists of a couple of binaries, and we check all of them. So you can have this pop-up explaining that this binary really is not installed, so please install it. And another type is that QPress also can be not installed, and this message explains that. Probably that's it. And as I remember, I'm the next explaining the validation fields. So
yes, please.
So as Fabio, we have a question.
Yes, just a comment. You are giving an error that something is missing, but you're giving no hint on how to resolve the issue.
For example, for extra backup, we already shown this read more link, so you can click and open the guide. And you have the instructions how to install extra backup, and this guide already explains how to install QPress, which is also required for taking the backup.
Thank you.
EB, I see you raise your hands.
Yes. Does this also checking the MySQL version, because you cannot take MySQL and extra backup version, because you cannot take backup with old extra backup version from example MySQL 8?
Yeah. Actually, we are checking, but during the testing, we realized that the message is not clear to the user because, let me find this. Not this.
I understand you're showing us the screenshots, not the real case scenarios, because it's in progress, right?
This is because I have another environment right now to show the fields validation, and to reproduce all these items, all these cases, I need, this is not enough for 3 minutes, is not enough to show all of them. So that's why I have these images, pictures.
Yeah.
So another type is that the user will receive also the versions incompatibility error, but I'm not included it because we have error in the message and we already fixed it, but not in the feature build. So
Does it answer the questions, TB?
So the short answer, there is going to be an error message if the versions are not compatible.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you have other questions?
Yeah. Also, guys, as I mentioned before, we're looking forward to having the GA for integrated alerting, but backups are next in queue. So again, suggestions are welcome. Go on, Max.
Yeah. So as Fabio mentioned, we added these tooltips, but this is a front-end part. But also on the backend, we are checking the validity of each field. So you cannot have wrong address saved. For example, this is a wrong port number. So yeah, you'll have a message that server address invalid and expected format host port. Also, we added this validation to all the fields. So we are validating a hello field, from field. Also, we added validation to the URL when you try to add URL for Slack communication. So as well, invalid URL. And that's it.
Okay, yeah. Small improvements.
Yeah.
So if there are no other questions, then we can proceed. And the next item is for Fabio, some stuff related to alerting. They're in progress.
Yep.
So alert rules.
As for alert rules, what we did is that we added some tooltips to all the fields when you create a new rule. So for each one, you now have a more verbose description. So you can have a better idea of what's happening. Of course, the custom fields don't have it because those come from the custom YAML. But the baseline fields have the tooltip. So yeah, we hope this helps users to have a better perception of what they must input here. Yes, Jiří?
Are we planning to have a test option here so the user create the alerts and it just can test if the last 24 hours it would get an alert or not? So from the pass metrics, so it can see if this alert actually working or not.
I'm not sure if we have it.
No, I don't think that was ever in scope. It's not a bad idea. We've been pointing people to the Explore feature of PMM to test their expression beforehand, but that's a good feature request to do.
Yeah, but the expression is already here. So if there would be a button, test it and done.
No, I think it's a great idea because I'm the one who will write the filter and expression and then have to cancel out of it, go test it, and then come back.
Yeah, recently I wrote a lot of expressions, and it's a pain to test them.
Yeah, I'll message that in so that we can get that as an enhancement request.
So test alert rule, right? I'm just again creating action items to discuss to inform Roma about this.
Well, it's technically all the way back at the alert template, right? At the point that you create the template, it is a good opportunity to test your rule. At this point, you're really only testing a threshold value. So I don't know, maybe when we get a ticket and you can weigh in on where you would be more likely to create the test. Is it at the point of creating the template, or is it as you turn a template into a rule to be looking for?
Or both.
Or both. Okay, never mind. I know what you're looking for then.
Okay. Any other questions related to this stuff? No? Then thanks for this, Fabio. What's next in our queue?
So next one is for the alerts. So now when you have any alerts, you can now click the arrow here. And you can see the expression, the already parsed expression that generated this alert. So before you couldn't see it, so we didn't know what was the actual expression. So we have that here as well. Yeah.
Okay. And the last one?
The next one is just the renaming of alerting. As you know, we are changing everything to alerting. So you can see it's no longer showing.
It used to be integrated alerting. Now it's just alerting without.
Just alerting, yeah. The only thing that we are keeping is the URL because, well, Grafana still uses alerting as their internal alerting. So we don't want to mess with that. We don't think it's a good idea to mess with that. So we're going to keep the URL. But anything else that might be visual is going to be just alerting. And Grafana's alerting is going to be renamed to Grafana alerting.
And you mentioned visual, so on the backend side, in our code, would still be the same, yeah?
Maybe some backend guy can jump in, but I believe the API path is going to be kept the same for now.
Okay. Any questions? Then thanks, Fabio, for sharing. I believe it used to be your last stuff, yeah, for today. And the next items are portal stuff.
Sorry, Taras. We have one more thing. It's not mentioned in this list. We have another tiny bug, and probably I can present it. I just set up my local env. Okay, let's zoom stop. Well, here the problem. If you made some backups in version 2.22 and then upgraded your PMM server to the version 2.23, you will notice the new button loads, but unfortunately it will show loading forever. And we fixed this. Let me just switch PMM version. And the problem should gone.
Let's try now.
Yeah, compiling stuff. So, but anyway, to start it from sources is much more faster than move this images, pull them. Yeah. Then okay.
No worries, Artem. This is fun to watch.
Yeah. 1,000 times a day. But anyway, Go is pretty fast in compiling stuff, actually. Run, Forest, run.
It's a demonstration why you need the powerful laptops, I know.
Yeah, obviously. Here's the problem, Steve. That's because we are so slow. We need this new fancy Mac M1 Pro. Okay, it started. Yeah, finally. Let's update the page. Let's see the logs page. Damn.
Well, it's in progress, so.
Max, do you know what's going on? Let me see.
Maybe something with the migration.
From job logs. Okay. Damn, what's... Yeah.
Artem, I would suggest another option that let's move on in our script, and then we'll get back to you. Okay?
Yeah. So, epic fail. Sorry for wasting your time. Well, the idea that we added database migration, and that database migration should insert some fake logs, for example, for all the backup stuff. Yeah.
It's a classical live demo, but you will not get the new MacBook because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Here's the problem. Yeah, obviously.
That's why it's called work in progress.
Yeah, new MacBook applies database migrations much more best.
Well, I believe on our emails there was the research on the new M processor, how it affects the performance for databases and so on. So, yeah, it can. So let's move on. And as a section portal, unfortunately, I don't know, some witch or whoever custom spell, and our dev environment is not working yet. So guys are working currently on fixing the environment. So unfortunately, today we won't be able to show you the portal stuff, but we're having good progress there. And the next section is our future portal feedback and documentation from Ali.
Taras, just a second. Going back to portal. Yes, unfortunately, a lot of work happening these days, and we also had a release. So we wrap up all the work we have done during October, and we're working on a release which is supposed to happen today. And during the integration of the different branches, we stepped into some conflicts that broke the environment. So that now we're trying to solve those issues. That's why we cannot right now demo the new features. But Fabio has joined the effort, and he has managed to contribute already to Portal a few changes, so he can continue still in the show today and show us a couple more features using his local environment. So Fabio, are you ready?
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
Yeah. Can you stop the share? Yeah, thank you. Okay. So the first one. Okay, so the first one is the contact cards. So we have this dashboard section here. So for now, these are the static versions of it. So everything here you see, well, besides of course my name and the role, everything else is pretty much static, just contacts and such. And so when you click on these different links, you go to different help pages from Percona. So yeah, this is for the dashboard. This is the first part of it. We are still working on it.
Just Fabio, just to provide some context. So So this is mainly for the use case when the user will sign up for a Percona account on Platform Portal and log in for the first time. That person will get to see this static data related to basically the account and Percona contacts, where we want to prompt the user to reach out to us for whatever reasons, like support or bump their account from a free tier to a subscribe paid account. These same two widgets in the next iteration will show dynamic data for the use case when the user that signed up is related to existing Percona customer account. So we will pull from our support system service now the data related to the contact of that particular account. So technical product manager, account managers, and stuff like that. And these widgets will dynamically load that data for that particular account. So this is just the first iteration of the static data. And this content that you see in there is something that we came up with. Roma gave us his okay to go ahead with this initial text, but we're gonna double check and validate this information with our marketing support team so that they're happy with what we're displaying here.
Yeah. But I would suggest to show everything in one bunch for the portal side, because discussing and having feedback only on this dashboard, it's out of context stuff, as for me. So let's wait for next demo.
Yeah, and other than that, we also had these external resources links that just point to these documentation, blogs, the blog story, and the forum. So yeah, just a section with external links instead of internal routes. So yeah. Okay, thanks. Mm-hmm. Then Mr. Ali. Just a second. Portal feedback and documentation stuff, right?
Yeah.
You have anything to add here?
I'll also show the PMM landing page.
Okay.
Cool. So we had some input around providing a way for customers to give us some sort of feedback within the portal. So this is just our first iteration on how that could be done. So there would be an icon on the top nav where the user would click, and they would find a section here where they are prompted to give feedback. We thought about the fact that perhaps there would be different types of feedback that customers would want to give, maybe a feature request or an issue. So this drop down would allow the customer to select that, and then here they can also add a title and then provide that particular feedback. So this is the first thing that I'm going to be sharing. Any feedback on the feedback section?
Yeah, like maybe we could have some arrow to go back to the dashboard, because I see like the dashboard is selected, but I don't know how to go back.
Okay.
And do we need to clarify that the feedback is more about the experience? Like, will people try to use this to submit I have a bug and I need support on MySQL production 17. Do we need, or are we going to reuse that even for this? That if they're a paying customer, they can use the same form.
Well, in the future, right? We did say that this ticket widget would be inside the portal, but for now, it takes you to ServiceNow. So in the future, yeah, that would be a similar form. But this for now is particularly just for portal feedback.
So maybe call that out as, you know, the support issues should not be submitted through this form, you know, or something to clarify, you know, what the limit of the feedback we want. I just don't want something going to the wrong group for 3 days when there's a production fire, and then, you know, they say the obvious, well, why did you? But I think it's great to gather. It's a great idea to get feedback on the portal. That's something that's.
And do we consider this as a part for MVP for our portal?
I'm sorry, try to say it again.
Do we consider this as a part of MVP?
No, that will go beyond. No, that's after December the 7th, I guess.
So just looking in our future stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I would defer to Sergey and Roma and probably Donnie, but like that seems like that might be one of the first couple of things we want to get out in that preview period, is a quick and easy way to gather feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
No issue that it doesn't make this number 7, but like that's the most useful time for people to quick submit, like, I don't like this, or I'm confused by that. But again, the product folks would know better if someone would actually use it.
Yeah. And also, Ali, I have a question. The first guy who submitted in the list of tickets, requested by, who is the first one? I don't know this person.
Cristiano.
It's Cristiano. I don't know. I believe this is the wrong guy.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But as you can see, Cristiano is number 1.
Well, okay. Let it be.
Okay, and then the second part was a concept we were working around, which was documentation related to the portal, specifically for the portal. And the idea was that it would be a separate page that would live on its own, and you'd have blocks with categories of information. And then for organizations, for example, I took what we have today on Confluence, and then the intention here is that the user will be able to just click through and see high level documentation with regards to the portal. But I think it's something that still needs refinement, and any feedback?
We've been talking about this, Ali, since last week when Alex raised the concern on this particular subject of documentation for portal. And as you said, like, we've been working on something, and we're putting together very simple guides for users, but those are parked at the moment in Confluence. So it's very good to see this idea. Very soon, next week, we're onboarding a technical writer to the team. So that person soon after will be able to pick this up and help us out to have something together by December the 7th, hopefully. But yes, it's very good to see that you guys have been already thinking about how to render the content.
Cool. And then the last part is around PMM. So the landing page that is integrated with portal elements. So I think I showed a more complex version in our previous review, but this is a simplified version. You'd see your summary of your instances and then high level indicators about your environment, and then active alerts, advisors, and then your tickets, your account information, your contacts, PMM upgrade as we have it today, and then right at the bottom, newsfeed and blog. And then on the tickets, you can go to your tickets, and then under entitlements, you can also view your entitlements.
Ali, why we have started thinking about this redesign? For which purpose? Is it PMM3 stuff or?
No, it's for users that have Portal connected, that have their Percona account connected to PMM.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there would be their view.
Remember the whole
actually
single pane of glass. This is that pane of glass. Sorry, Sven, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to note that current homepage works very slow with high number of machines and monitored machines. It's not very useful.
Yeah, hopefully this would speed it up for people who have connected their accounts. I know Roma is finishing up testing on a new concept page, but it's a similar idea. This one may ultimately win, I don't know, but this should load significantly faster just because it's not 10,000 individual panels that have to load.
That's probably another way to showcase how connecting to Portal is going to change the face of PMM. Just the homepage. But that's a big change, I guess. No.
The homepage, I believe, is a main page. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm fairly certain when we replace the homepage, nobody's going to cry. If they do, it will be tears of joy.
Right.
So I'm curious, for people who haven't connected to their Percona account, will they also get the new homepage showing them things that they would receive if they did connect? Or do they get some completely different experience with kind of no incentive to ask them to connect?
Well, yes, we need to iterate on this and see what of this goodness is not gonna be shown just because you're not connected. So yes, this will pretty much look like the same, but just without some of the things we cannot show because the PMM instance is not connected. We'll iterate. I think we will see. This is something we will work next, just to show the difference, just to put, this is connected and this is disconnected. Why don't you want to connect, right?
Great. Yeah, that's something like we really need to keep in mind as we're building this out, is that we need to pull people along that journey of moving from anonymous user to registered logged in user to becoming a customer. And so it helps a lot if we can show them what the next step looks like as much as possible to try and draw them into doing that step.
So play to their OCD of a panel that says, if you were registered, you would get this cool feature. And then now that you're registered, if you were a customer, you would see even more, right?
Right. Yeah. And so for some of them, like they're literally getting some of it, like a few advisors, which is the best case scenario. For others, we can't give them the experience. And so we should give them something that shows them what they're missing out on. Like instead of linking to the forums, can we show them what kinds of reporting they would get on their support tickets and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Actually, this is a good idea to consider. I see you've added the comment for Roma, Ali to consider this stuff. And I believe it's not only for Roma and Ali, so you guys also can participate in these discussions about how to make users see the profits.
Yeah, I mean, Roma will be thinking about it a lot, but I think it's helpful if everybody is thinking about it too, so that we're asking those questions of, are we bringing users along on that journey?
And overlapping banners and autoplay videos are not the option. So, okay. So, thanks, Ali.
Sure.
And then I see we have Alex here. Should we remove the breadcrumbs component on the dashboards? I believe it's some kind of monologue or what?
No, that should be dialogue actually.
Okay.
I didn't plan just to talk alone. No, that was. Can I share my screen, Taras?
Sure.
Because I want to show you what used to be. Well, we debated internally. We debated quite some time ago, and the debate was around this component, which we call the breadcrumb component. This is not something we made ourselves. This is a third-party component, and this is still written in Angular 1, which is very slow. And actually, the usefulness of this component is just we thought it's doubtful. I'll just show you a couple of weird stuff. So what I did, I just clicked on this OS, and this is how I visualize this dashboard. And then I just click, one by one. This details memory, network, and stuff like that. And this is how you get a sequence of breadcrumbs. Now, if I go to NUMA details, look what happens. First of all, God knows why the page got refreshed, right? Number two is when I click to nodes overview one more time, see what happens. They just gone, right? Like I can, the behavior of this component is like not predictable because see what happens. This details, I get a second one. Memory details, I get the third breadcrumb. Node summary, I get a fourth breadcrumb. Can go back, right? It stays there, but just what happened, what has just happened when I clicked on that one and everything is gone, I cannot explain, right? So there's a number of issues with this one, including the issue that it's taking too much space. If I visualize, it's just went ahead and brought up the DevTools and actually calculated the height of the whole component. So it starts over here. You just don't see it, but that's how much space it occupies. Down to here, which is 68 pixels. On my screen, that's 7%. Can be more, can be less, depending on your screen size. But essentially, the question is like, how do you even find it useful? Shouldn't we just throw it away, given that it takes time to maintain it, to upgrade it? Like it just consumes precious real estate and doesn't give much value. And I should say we already have a bunch of navigation in PMM. So if I go back to this screen, so how can you get there to OS? You can get through this menu, which we will also plan to deprecate in some distant future, not now. And through the left side menu, you just get, you can get anywhere. You can navigate anywhere you want inside of PMM, right? So what do you think, especially those of you who are not part of platform engineering, just not to be biased?
Well, actually, having some important stuff shortcutted, it's not a bad thing. I'm not sure about like I see I use PMM on some way, and actually that's interesting. When I have a screen share by support engineers and with customers, I see people use completely different ways and use completely different menus. So that's I found it's it's once you get used to it, so once you understand the logic, I find it for example, clicking on query analytics here, it's good. For operating system, I probably myself using home dashboard and then choose whichever I need. So maybe it's not useful, but query analytics shortcut is certainly useful.
Yeah, no, so this is not about this one. This is about the breadcrumbs. This one, this particular one. Yeah, the breadcrumbs. You see how much space it occupies from here to here, and that's not what you want to see.
It's actually breadcrumbs. It's quite confusing, especially when you first screen that you show it like some process detail, and before it was NUMA details. And I was thinking about how NUMA related to CPU temperature.
Absolutely. And normally, I will tell you more. Normally, you expect from breadcrumbs to be like, some level to show you some level of nestedness. So it's almost as if you were going deep to some details, and then just you can go back. This makes it useful, but in this case, it's just not that. It's just simply not that. So it doesn't cater to the promise, to the standard of breadcrumbs. It's just something else. And really, like, the question is, should we keep it around or throw it away and forget about it, and just gain, give back some of the a good portion of the screen back to the useful metrics. So that's the question.
Well, actually, so I would not myself use it, but again, like, I don't know, like, maybe good to ask. Maybe I will ask on next support meeting if someone uses it, actually.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. You see, I just clicked on some of those, and it's all gone. You see how unpredictable it is?
Yeah. It's actually, it's like, for me, it's very strange what is showing up. I'm not sure if it's needed.
So I was actually asking Roma, you know what? It does more harm than anything else. And it's just that, no, you just can't throw it away. Ask the audience. Whatever the audience says, they will be the decision makers. So this is why I'm asking the audience, guys, what do you think? Should we leave it or just throw it away? Anybody? TB?
My idea, I'm the part of engineering, but make it visible only for paid customers. Call it, I don't know, a built-in quest or social casino, and it would be a feature, Like, guess what be displayed next?
Advanced navigation.
Well, actually, we should make guess what is displayed next, and customers should get predictions. And like, we should participate in some competition, and once per year they can get some like one consulting hour or something like this.
But first we need to register our company in the Cyprus or Gibraltar,
I was hoping more. I was more hoping to hear yes, we leave it, or no, you guys just complicated it.
Well, so we need to ask our users. Our opinions are not the ones that matter here. It's the people who are using the software. So let's get their view on this kind of decision, which, Roma should be able to help drive some of that. My personal opinion is that it's very confusing having effectively navigation on top followed by breadcrumbs underneath that don't quite agree. And the navigational elements suggest that it should be, like you say, a hierarchy that you're diving into rather than a path that you've followed. But I think the question should go to the people who are using the software.
But we have people who are using the software in this room, don't we?
So personally, I don't use the breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm. Which means, like, if we get rid of it, you wouldn't even notice, right? You would just
not really, yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly my proposal, is just turn it off and see who screams.
Well, Perconians are one flavor of customer, to Donnie's point. Like, I think our services group does have a legitimate voice. We're not asking executive stakeholders. We're asking the people who actually use this tool on a daily basis. But, maybe we have to divide it up and get some more spread out feedback. But we've got one vote for gamify it and one vote for get rid of it. So it's already looking good that it's not bringing the value we had hoped for. We just need to do a little more homework.
I see Alec has something to add.
Well, I'm having the same opinion. I don't use it. I don't like how it's behaving. It's useless. That's all.
Thank you, Alec.
So basically, yeah, I agree even with both Steve and Donnie. First, we have our internal answers, and we can have also feedback from our customers, and we can collaborate with professional services, team with support together with its feedback on this one. And I will create the action item for this so we can follow up. Me, Roma, you, Alex, on this stuff.
We reached the end?
Okay. I believe, yes, we're already almost 7 minutes late here.
Sorry. It's me again. Hello. I resolved the issue. Unfortunately, it's not because I have old, slow MacBook. That's because something was merged in the master with the same migration number. And do you see my screen actually? Look at this. Logs, no logs. Epic. That's all.
When you don't get a faster MacBook, you get the coffee mug.
I can show such things much more faster. No logs at all.
Thank you.
Okay. I believe it was just edited screenshot, but okay. We believe in you.
DevTools in your browser,
Don't joke about that. I got a buddy whose kid did that with his report card. Showed his dad like all A's. And then his dad figured out that he just went into Chrome DevTools and changed the grades. Didn't end well for him. All right.
Yes, sometimes this cheating happens. So guys, thank you for participating on this meeting. I will share with you the recording and this document I've shared before later.